Okay. So assignment 3, we're just starting assignment 3 here, and this is basically what we're going to be trying to draw. We already discussed it a little bit earlier today in our lesson plan, so I think the best way for us to jump off, well, sorry, before we jump off, what I'm going to do and what I usually do when I'm doing multiple drawings in the same project, I'll just open the same file. So I would continue working in the same file as our wall section. And the reason for that is we've already got our layers set up and all kinds of, our text styles and everything else. It's already all set up, so we don't have to go through that again. Also, another good reason to do it is we already have the page set up created. So what I could do, you don't have to follow me in this now. We'll do it again at the end of this assignment. But what I could do here is just right click and say move or copy. And I can just select A1 layout, say create copy, and hit OK. And it'll create another tab here. So I could then double click it and rename it to, let's say, A2 floor plan. Which would imply I should probably rename the first one to wall section. And then later on I could go down in here and start modifying the title block however I want to. And later on, when we draw something new, I could simply click in the window and kind of move things around to the new location that I'm drawing in. So I'm just gonna, for now, just undo some parts of that. I'll leave the other tab in place. And because of that, I would just, like I said, start drawing in the same file. So kind of move a little bit to the right or wherever you may prefer and start to focus on drawing in a new area. And I think the best way to tackle this would just be, it's going to be a bit tedious, so sorry, hopefully you got a coffee before this so I don't put you guys to sleep, but I'm just going to start in the left-hand corner here, bottom left-hand corner, and I'm just going to go monotonously, number by number, moving across the entire house. So what I'll do is I'll go from the corner to the start of the window. At the window, I think I'll switch to a window layer and draw a line from the start of the window to the end of the window. I'll switch back to an exterior wall layer, do the other 3 lines, and slowly move through the house in that fashion. So we get all the way to the other side, and hopefully we end up being pretty close or exactly on, and the lines connect. Once we have that, we can then start to offset things. So we can start to decide, maybe we want to offset the entire wall thickness and we'll worry about the interior components later. So we can reconfirm the width of that wall and we just start offsetting inwards. And then we'll start dealing with the windows separately. And if we can kind of make it around the entire house today and then detail the width of the wall and add the windows, I think we're in pretty good shape. Next class we can then focus on doing the interior partitions. And then on the 11th, we can focus on adding the notation, the door and window labels and schedules and stuff like that. And if we need to extend the deadline by a day or two to allow you to apply that stuff from the 11th, let's say to the 13th or 14th, we can do that. And that's kind of a game plan for this project. So I'm going to zoom in, and you don't have to do it with me. If you want to move ahead, feel free to do that. I think you'll get the hang of it after the first 2 or 3 clicks. But anyway, here we go. So 4359 from here to there. So I'm going to enter into here, home, switch my layer to exterior wall, click on the line tool, click and aim to the right and type in 4359, enter. Now I'm going to switch to my window layer and I'm going to go 1890. Just going to double check that I did this one the correct length, 4359, okay, good. Do we have a good glazing? Sure. So A glazing, architectural glazing, that's for windows. Click, start at the end of that line, extend to the right, 1890, enter. back to my wall, and now I'm gonna check here, and so you may, as you go, you may decide, well, you know, rather than switching back and forth between screens, maybe I want to have two windows open on my screen. One is the PDF, one is the drawing. That might actually, if I was working alone, I would do that, but since I want to show you what I'm doing, I'm going to keep it as big as possible and just switch between the screens. So here, 291, 10, no, that's the internal dimension. So let's go 291 to the right first. So back to CAD, click 291, enter. Now I'm going to be aiming down, but I am going to switch the screen. What do we got here? It gives us 1205. So this dimension here. For some reason my battery is conking out. That's not good. Oh, there we go. Okay. 1205. So aiming down, 1205. Back to our drawing. 1325. Okay, switch back to the window layer. One 575. Two 415. Back to the wall layer. Nine 6.5 back to window layer. Yes, 965. Now we're getting to the fireplace, and so I'm going to kind of deal with the fireplace later, because figuring out this part, I don't think they give us the dimensions on either side. So what I'm going to do is I'll do this little part here, so the 190, and then I'm just going to go, maybe I'll eyeball it. I'll just go down a bit, go right across 2230, come back to the same level as this, and then continue. And I'll just sort of have to remember that this part, this dimension down is inaccurate, and so we'll come back to it later and deal with it. But right now, for the purpose of continuing, we're just going to eyeball it. Yep.
What do you mean it's inaccurate?
I mean that if I were to zoom out, they don't really give us, yeah, even over here, they don't give us this dimension here, so we don't know how far down we're going. There is a way to sort of figure it out approximately using all the interior dimensions, but you have to do a lot more drawing and sort of deduction on the inside. And right now we're just going for broad strokes. We want to get the outside correct and start moving in. So in the interest of keeping that as our priority, I'm just going to sort of skip over this a little bit and guess how far down we go. So back to here. Click 190. Okay. And here I'm going to take my guess. Sorry? So since this was 190, it looks to me like this is, I don't know, let's say 2.5 times that much. So I'm going to say 500. Okay, I'm going to go down 500. And I'll revisit that decision later on, but not right now. 500. Okay, and now across 2230. Back up 500 and back over, I'm guessing it's 190 again. Yep, 190. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. 190. Now back to the this window is 9. Oh, I wonder if I did that. Okay, 965. I don't remember typing in 965, so let me check that dimension. 965, yes I did. 965. That's the problem with like doing repetitive stuff. You start to make little mistakes. So it's good to go back and check stuff. 645. Okay, so we've got this face of the building done. Now we're churning up. So 1400. Okay, and now we've got our bay window. Maybe we should take a guess. Well, yeah, maybe we should take an educated guess at this bay window. So one option that I can explore, I don't know if the map will work out, but it's showing us the length of it is 2340. It looks like the length from here to the first bend is about a quarter of the overall length of the window. I'm just guessing. I'm going to see if I can divide that number into 4, and then I can approximate what's there. So I'm going to open up my calculator here. 2340 divided by 4, 585. So here's what I'm going to do. And again, just like with the fireplace, we'll have to revisit this, but it'll help us understand that a bay window, it's like a placeholder for the bay window. So I'm going to click here. And there's two things I can do. I can either, it's kind of hard because this little prompt I have is covering it. But if I sort of project away from that point on a 45-degree angle, underneath that it says 45 degrees. I can just sort of aim 45 degrees and type in a number. But we want something that goes 585 up and 585 over. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to type at. So hold down shift and then press the 2 button, like you're typing an email address. So at 585, comma 585. And that should give us a diagonal. Now this we think is going to be twice the length. So 585 times 2, 1170, 1170. And now back to the original, so at minus 585, comma 585. Alternatively, if I didn't want to type in the number again, I could just use the mirror function. So up here there is a mirror. I don't know if we've done this before. Have we used mirror before? No. You did? Okay. So this might be a good time to practice if you ever wanted to. So mirror, and basically what we're going to do is click this and mirror it over the center line of that line. Yep.
Is the length of the flat part of the bay window, is that double the 5
Yes.
by 5? Okay.
Yeah. So it's 1170. Yeah. So
Is your like the first line at an angle of 45?
yeah, but what I did is I just typed 585 out and 585 up, and then it just kind of do the diagonal for you. The length of that line is longer than 585. Blazing, it was like a A-blazing, yeah.
And make sure your mouse is like focused on
They've got some Clorox.
yeah, it's gonna be like mine's 8. Also fine. Yeah. It's just that it's 585 airport, 585. Actually, it's 118.
Okay, so moving on, actually, I guess these 3 lines should be on the window layer. So I'm just going to select them and switch them to glazing. Then click Align again. And 1658. 1658. Then there's another window for 800. $16.50 and 300. So $16.50 for a wall, 300 more for a tiny window. $76 for a sliver of wall before we get to the front door. I don't know if we have a layer for doors, so maybe we'll just stick with glazing. Oh, a architectural door, also yellow. Okay. So click on that, and the door is 1,000. These colors are getting a bit confusing, so you guys can keep it the way it is, but just for the purpose of the video and for you guys to see what I'm doing, I'm going to switch the color of the door to, let's say, blue.
Are we allowed to change the colors ourselves? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. You can change the colors to anything you want. They're totally up to you. When you get to an office, if they have, they'll have certain protocols. So then you kind of.
It's more standardized.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should probably follow what they say. But here, yeah, go for it.
I guess yeah, when you have like a team of people, right? You want consistency.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we're turning right and starting the garage, and this dimension will be 2360. Okay, then 868. Now I've got a door 2745. It's a garage door, but a door nonetheless. Uh, 444, a bit of wall. I believe 2745 again for another garage door. and then 506 to the corner. Okay, 2 out of 4 sides done. So, turning left, 1635. Oops, I opened a 1270 for the window. Two 540. One 270. Nope, I messed that up. There we go. So here they've divided up these two dimensions. We can probably add them together. Actually, this could be a source of an error here, so we need to be a bit careful. So just, even if you may be in a different location, like if you're just further ahead where I am, just pay attention to something like this. See here, it goes 1635, and it's unclear if they're measuring from here to here, or from here to here. And if the 125 we understand is from here to here, but we don't know if this is measuring the whole distance or just part of it. It's very unusual that you would break it. Like, we've been going based on the large elements in the facade. So it'd be strange to break up that last measurement to show, a wall composition as part of it. That being said, I don't know what the example here is showing. My guess is that since seems to be centered between these two lines, it's probably there's probably this plus this. But anyway, so there's two things we can do. We can start adding up everything in that dimension string and see, that's part of the responsibility. We should add up all the numbers in here and see if it gives us 8600. Or the other thing is we just keep going, take a guess, keep going, and if we find we're 125 millimeters off at the end, we know where the mistake was. Since I'm a teacher and I should do the responsible thing, I'm gonna add them all up and see what we get. You don't have to do it. I'll do it for you and I'll let you know what it is. So let's start with 8600 minus, oh man, did we have 125 here too? So I may have already messed up. Yeah, I started with DI. I started with 1635 and I ignored that. So, okay. Let's try it with the 125s. So minus 125 minus 1635 1270 2540 1270 1635 125. Yep. So I've already made a mistake. So basically what I should have done, for some reason, they decided to measure this whole wall by including a small 125 millimeter dimension at either end, and we should include those in our drawing as well. So I didn't. So what I need to do is to basically take all the lines I've drawn here and move them 125 millimeters this way to correct myself. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say move and pick all of these lines and move them this way 1, 2, 5. And then I can just draw a really small line segment to fill in that gap. And now I can do the opposite on the other side. So 1635 and 125. Okay, coming down the back side of the garage. The first dimension is 2000. And there's a window for 1270. And there's a wall for 525. A door for 900. A wall for 100. Turning left, 1323. $1575 for the window. $2217 piece of wall. $1575 for another window. $1010 for a piece of wall. Here, for some reason, they break it up into two parts. Not sure why they do that, but we can just go with this larger dimension. Nothing happened on this wall. So we're just going to take 2240. Okay. Now back, going left again, 527. Switching to a window, 1575. Back to a wall, 998. Okay, we're almost there. Now we're going down 2827. A window 1890. And 3683 directly down. So let's see if it works. 3683. Huh. quite a big mistake. So, I've never had a mistake that big, but I have a mistake that is 973 millimeters, so that's too much. If you end up with that, you gotta go back and figure out what happened. So I'm just gonna look for it here. This window looks a little short to me. This window is 890 and it should be 1890. So I'm gonna move this down 1000 and extend this window so that looks a little better, but I'm still off. I'm off 100 millimeters in the X dimension and I'm off 32 millimeters in the Y dimension. So I'm just going to start looking for something. I'm going to take the easy way first and see if I could have missed a dimension for 100 millimeters somewhere. Nope. So, if you guys are still going, I'm going to let you to troubleshoot. I have a little bit of a gap here. And so the best way I can troubleshoot is I can start applying dimensions right now to this. And I can start seeing, the largest dimension, let's say from there to there. I would see if that equals what it is supposed to equal. And then the largest dimension and so on and so forth. And that's how I can start to zero in on where the error might be. Sorry, question? Oh, I just switched, I went to door and it was double, so I switched. That's good. You can switch the color. So I'm 19,400 across the width of the house. Okay, let's see if that's correct. 19,400. So I know that the overall width from here to the other side of the house is correct. So somewhere in here, one of these lines is a bit short. And so I'll start subdividing it into smaller chunks. So another dimension from here to here. 6640, 6540, so I have more errors. $10,400, 10,500, and 2360. So I have a small, I mean, everyone, I'm kind of hearing the conversations here, and I'm guessing you guys also have mistakes. I do as well. And so this is kind of how I'm starting to troubleshoot it. So I do an overall dimension. Let me zoom out a bit more. And essentially what I start doing is adding the dimension lines that exist in the drawing. And you can do this in a way that it's going to start helping you right away to, it's almost, you're almost taking a step, doing a more advanced step now. And so you can draw the dimensions in a way that you don't have to modify them much later. So what I did is I went overall 10,000 or 19,400, and that was correct. So the overall length is correct. This length from here to here was correct. And then I have a mistake here and a mistake here. And if you find, I wouldn't get discouraged if you find you have multiple mistakes in a single side. It's very possible that one mistake is causing another. So for some reason, I'm 100 millimeters too big here, and I'm 100 millimeters too small there. So probably by solving, there's a chance by solving one, the other one will click into place as well. So now what I've discovered is, I think I have the error where it ended up versus where my window starts is 4459, and I believe it should be 4359. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 4359. So here's just one of the decisions I'm going to make. Instead of moving all of this stuff this way, I'm pretty sure some other mistake somewhere else is causing that 100 millimeter discrepancy. So I'm going to move this line 100 millimeters in. And then I'm going to start troubleshooting the other way around. It probably doesn't matter. You can probably start going either way and you'll get the right answer. But I'm slowly going to start working my way around to make sure each dimension I have matches the dimension in the drawing. And I'm only going to investigate it if the overall length is off. If, for instance, this was the correct length, I wouldn't bother going in and checking everything individually because it's probably correct. Okay, does that make sense? So now everyone's gonna have a slightly different problem, and I can help you. If you get stuck, let me know. I can come to you and help you. And now our next job is to start troubleshooting these issues. And after all that hard work, you're gonna end up with one really simple line diagram that shows the outline of your house. So it doesn't look like you did much work, but you're actually very well set up to take the next step, because then we will simply start offsetting the lines in the correct thickness of the house, and all of a sudden you'll have, 1/3 of the drawing done. Okay? So I'm gonna start troubleshooting, but your drawings are more important than mine, so if you get stuck, let me know and I'll come to you, okay?
How do you do the dimensions?
The dimensions, I went to here to dimensions, and I clicked, and sorry, this symbol right here will give you a dimension, linear dimension. And then you can click from one side to another, and it'll give you a little dimension. Bless you. Mm-hmm.
What material do you use for the door?
Just the door.
Okay.
So if you, I'm having an error that I can't resolve on this side. So it says 7440. If I do the garage perfectly from one side to the other, the way it specifies, I end up always 7 millimeters too short. So I have a feeling that these numbers here don't add up to this one or vice versa. So if you're off by 7 millimeters in that area, it's your choose whichever you prefer. You can make it either make the whole thing 7440 or you can make it 3 millimeters shorter. So 7 millimeters shorter.
So the base of the garage doesn't add it?
I don't think so. Didn't add up for me. Yeah? Same issue. 7433, correct. I have the same thing, yes. So I'm gonna go with 7433. And if you are off by 7 millimeters on the other side, you just know it's an error somewhere in the drawing. And that's okay. So my number will be 7433, and my overall will be off by 7 millimeters as well, and that's okay. So I think I've slowly worked my way around, and I had a 7mm error on this side, and since we decided just to go with it, the same 7mm error will happen on the other side. So just, I would recommend make one of the wall segments, not the window, just 7mm larger or smaller than you need to. And that's it. I know everyone's still at different points of troubleshooting their drawing. But from here, so to sort of unconfuse, my drawing looks a bit confused now because I've got all these dimensions, and I don't want to delete them because I'm going to be adding them later on anyway. And so I've already done all this work. I just need to space them out a bit differently and change the font size to make it more legible, but I'll deal with that later. So what I can do right now is I can just churn off the dimension layer, and almost all of them will disappear, except these ones are on the wrong layer, so I'll move them to their correct layer and turn those off. There we go. And now that I have this part of the drawing done, I can now systematically, and maybe we'll leave it here for today, and we can just work, I'll help people individually if they get stuck. But from here, the strategy, and I'll just demonstrate it in one corner, will be to start offsetting the walls inwards to give them the maximum thickness. And then later on, we'll start working out sort of the sandwich, the interior components of the wall. So for instance, I'm going to go down into here. And so here it kind of gives me the whole thickness of the wall. And I can calculate it based on the pieces, so 90 plus, well, that's a mistake. It doesn't have any concrete block in here, so that would not be a good place to take the measurement of the wall. They may just give us the measurement of the wall somewhere. Or not. So they don't give us the measurement, so we can kind of calculate it on our own. So yes, there is 90 millimeters of face brick. This should not be there. This is a mistake. Then there's a 25 millimeter airspace. I guess 25 millimeters rigid insulation, 13 plywood, 140 wood studs, and 16 drywall. So I can calculate that up. Or sorry, I can add all that up. 90 plus 25 plus 25 plus 13 plus 140 plus 16 millimeter drywall on the inside, so 309. So my wall thickness is 309, so I can then come back in here, offset 309, and I'm just going to do this in a rough fashion first. I'm just going to take all of my wall segments and offset them. And I can slowly go around the whole building like that. And then I'll introduce you to a new tool, or we've probably already used it once. It's called Fillet. And it's going to save us a bunch of time in rationalizing what we're doing here and cleaning it up. Now around the garage, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. I should have checked, because the garage walls might be thinner.
I think it says on the thing here, it says 125. Is that the garage thickness?
I'm not quite sure what they're measuring there.
No corners.
Yeah, they're doing some kind of a component of the wall.
Oh, okay.
But I would, so here they give us a measurement, 125 plus 89. So we can add that up. 125 plus 89, 214. So we know the garage wall is 214. So I was doing the wrong width here. So I've kind of offset my walls now. And so what I can do is go up here, click Fillet, radius, make sure it's set to 0. And then I'm also going to click on multiple, because I'm going to do multiple corners at once. And I'll just kind of go around and click on the corners I want to clean up. And it'll connect the lines for me. Here where there's a window, I'm going to leave that, and I'll come back and put just a perpendicular line to end the wall segment there. So all I'm going to do is use this tool to clean up the corners. Now here where the house meets the garage, it's a special condition. So I'm gonna leave these corners the way they are, and we can attack that. I think next class would make the most sense when we have some of the interior partitions in. It's going to give us a better idea of where that goes. So I'm just going to proceed around the rest of the house, cleaning up my corners. Okay, and once I have that done, I'm just going to go around and put perpendicular lines where the walls meet the windows. And later on we will insert window segments into there. Now, the last thing I could do, if you want to do, if you wanted to get ahead, or work on it on your own a bit, is you can slowly start to add the subcomponents of the wall into these segments. So, for instance, we can go to our drawing and zoom in on this breakdown in here. So it's a 90 millimeter face brick, 25 airspace, 25 rigid insulation. So I can come in here, offset 90, and this you may want to do piece by piece because it's going to take a little bit of cleanup after you do it. So that's my brick. Okay, offset 25. So there's my airspace and my insulation. Same on this side, airspace, insulation. 13 millimeter plywood, so offset 13. And you can see it starts to look quite complicated, so that's why I would go just corner by corner. And here it's 140 millimeters of studs and then 16 drywall, so 140, offset, offset, and this space that's left should be 16, and it is. And so now I can take the fillet tool and slowly work my way backwards to clean up these corners, just like we did before. Okay, and that's our wall there. And if I want, now that you can use tools that you've already established, where let's say I would like to hatch the brick in that area. So I pick a hatch command. And since we're working in the same drawing, I can just grab that, give it any old hatch, go back to my previous drawing, pick the brick hatch, and match it. There we go. And so I can slowly start to fill in the details on this stuff. And I'll leave it at that for now. I think we've moved it enough. So if you can match this level of development, if you can sort of manage to rationalize and double check your math to get the circuit of the house finished, then offset into the wall segments and close those off, I think you've made it far enough for this class. Next class we will focus on building out the walls like we've shown here. We'll focus on building out the windows, and then we'll end by offsetting into the house to start showing where the partitions and stuff go. And that'll give us basically the whole house layout. Then the last class will focus on adding the detail of the notation, the text, the dimensions, and things like that. Okay? So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll upload this as a video. If you have any issues while you're